Today I want to get into JHope addressing Jung Kook and JHope being concerned. I also wanted to get into Jung Kook believed to be upset over several parents and Koreans attacking Jung Kook for allegedly smoking. And then we have private information leaked by stalkers. So hey Dumplings, this is Dave Desai. Hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Grab your dumpling, he's spilling book merch, and let's go. There's been some controversy and fear among some of the fans that have recently noticed RM seem to be quite scared. RM and Jung Kook both have opened up to talk about sasaengs or stalker fans in their day-to-day lives. I will get into some backstory and context and then talk about the update. So there's no surprise, there's been an uptick of sasaeng stories coming out recently, and of course a big thing I talk about here on the channel. I think it's a very interesting topic that people love to read about, but aside from the entertainment aspect, I think it's important to know these stories and bring awareness to what is happening to these idols in their everyday life and try to build more understanding. This way, if there's ever an instance in which an idol would flip out on someone, we could approach that with an understanding and maybe think that this person they flipped out on was a stalker, or even just understand that the idol might be on edge when we see that they may look a little off. Jung Kook previously talked about how he was stalked at the gym and then talked about this issue during a live stream. It was quite upsetting to hear that he felt so strongly about that, and if you know that Jung Kook cares about not being followed to the gym, then don't do it to him. Know that he has drawn his line in the sand and let everyone know that this is where his boundaries are. I think most people would not want to be followed, but maybe some celebrities are used to it, I don't know. But of course, RM recently had a few sasaeng interactions as well, and specifically the co-rail incident. This is very upsetting to me. If you don't know what happened, this incident is one that would bother, I think, 100% of people. RM made a goal to try to take a train every few months or so, and in order to buy a ticket and all that, you need to make an account. This is not your street-to-street type of train, but more city-to-city train. So you need to sign up in case there's delays, and so they'll be able to reach you and tell you. An employee for the rail system actually ended up checking RM's information about 18 times and basically leaking RM's private information to their friends or anyone that asked. RM got a hold of this news and didn't seem quite happy, but this is all older news. Something that happened recently was that armies got upset when they realized at what moment this might have happened. Allegedly during an older Weverse livestream, RM talked about receiving weird texts lately and possibly calls. People thought this was around the time a co-rail employee must have been really looking into him, getting that phone number on his account and even possibly calling or texting RM. This could definitely be a possibility, and RM looked super scared. However, while a big possibility, I think during the last year or so, and definitely within the last year or so, during the lockdowns, we have all gotten really crazy calls, scam calls mostly, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So it would be difficult to identify what RM constitutes as a weird call. Is it someone who just never says anything when you pick up, or is it someone trying to scam you? Because I would call those calls weird too. People were also saying there's a possibility that there could even be a photo leaked somewhere that someone took all of RM's information, but that is less likely because the alleged co-rail staff looked into RM's info 18 times. If the staff took a picture of all that info, then there would never be a need to look into the info. Or they're looking to see if RM had recently checked in, I don't know. But I think he's okay now, and likely since the news has made such big headlines, I imagine the company is possibly looking into removing any data on RM, or I think RM might have bounds for legal action. I think this is not only a concern for a celebrity, but if you're someone who is using a service, I would imagine you would not want the possibility of your info being leaked to anyone. I'm pissed that these scam calls are getting my number from somewhere. I love how candid the members are being recently with their interviews and promos. It's very refreshing to see that the things that a lot of the fandom speculated about but never really get answers to, like the sasaeng thing, and of course we even see some new info on the member's personality, specifically Jung Kook. JHope said during an interview that Jung Kook actually got inspired by JHope's work. Apparently Jung Kook went right into the studio once Jung Kook had finished listening to JHope's Jack in the Box album. This is very interesting because I think a lot of us thought that Jung Kook was not working on anything, but it appears like at the very least he might be shopping around for beats or shopping around different producers and maybe even writing. So it's very exciting to think that something is in the works, even if it will take a long minute before it comes out. JHope addressed another time which was a bit more emotional and fans were wondering what happened. During the recent live stream where JHope talked about his military enlistment, ARMYs wrote in the chat that Jungkook had been crying. If you're not aware of what happened, Jungkook hopped on a stream about 3 times, and one of the last times on the stream, and before he said goodbye, the stream went silent for a bit. Jungkook was seen reading the comments, tearing up, and covering his face. Jungkook later clarified that it was because he was having a cold. You'll see headlines refer to it as rhinitis, which sounds super serious, but it's just another word for a cold, no biggie. But that explains the watery eyes and runny nose. However, even though Jungkook explained that, people think that he is lying and is actually crying due to JHope's enlistment and due to the other members going solo. I've seen comments saying that Jungkook is on the verge of unaliving himself, which is like absolutely not. I think he would be able to shut off the camera, even abruptly is fine if he felt like he was having a full breakdown. I don't think he'd show that publicly. JHope during his stream, of course, responded to people asking if Jungkook was okay. JHope seemed like he had no idea that Jungkook had cried on his stream and even asked, "Is this true?" implying that JHope didn't watch the entire stream and wasn't even aware that there was anything wrong. But this also shows that there was nothing wrong, because I highly doubt that ARMYs would find out something was wrong before the members did. Like, if Jungkook was super emotional about everything that has happened with the members, then that means they're super close, and so obviously they would know first. And JHope also mentioned that Jungkook is strong and will be okay. Likely right after the stream, JHope called Jungkook to make sure that he was okay, and JHope would see that ARMYs were a bit overanalyzing. Jungkook did reveal something that concerned a lot of fans on the same stream. Funny enough, the crying overtook this news, and the news of him allegedly smoking wasn't as big as it could have gotten, which is good. I want to clarify, I am not a smoker or an advocate of smoking, but if that's what you want to do, then do it. If you want to quit, then quit. This is not a passive-aggressive statement of me being like, I'm better than you because I don't smoke. It's really none of my business, and as someone who is not an advocate for it, I just won't do it. I don't expect anyone to have the same opinion as me. And I'm not upset if you do it. I really don't care. Many people online were very upset, and specifically quote-unquote parents saying that this is not a good example for kids, and even people saying that Jungkook was shoving it in people's faces. I highly doubt any of these people making these comments were actually parents. That's first of all. I don't know many parents who have jobs and work to support their kids, because the people that would allegedly be influenced by seeing someone smoke are going to be very, very young kids, right? If they were older or even teenagers, they're able to think for themselves. And if those parents have jobs, I don't see how they would even have time to sit there and watch every live stream and even notice the vape to go on Twitter to write about it. Jungkook very casually removed it out of frame, and it wasn't even in frame for more than like 10 seconds. And any parent simply would not care, because there's so many celebrities that smoke and so many of their family members probably smoke. It just doesn't make sense that an adult would care this much. And if you do, then I have to tell you there's a lot of bigger fish to fry, and life's going to get really hard for you if this bothers you. But I really think it's children that are pretending to be adults that care. Others are upset because Jungkook has allegedly addressed smoking before and seemed very upset and emotional over smoking. This was a moment where Jungkook was on a TV show back in his early debut days, and he talked about how his dad smokes. He specifically talked about how smoking was bad for his dad's liver and begged his dad to think of his liver. Jungkook referring to liver actually makes me think that Jungkook's father might already have a liver problem, because typically when you smoke, you think lungs will be affected. I mean, everything's affected, but you think lungs first. Drinking, you might think liver. So perhaps Jungkook is most concerned because his father has shown liver issues before. But anyway, people were saying he was very hypocritical, demanding his father not smoke, but he allegedly is. But we don't actually even know if that's a vape that appeared. And second of all, right after Jungkook talked about his father smoking, he left a message for his dad to watch. The message was to either switch to e-cigs or quit, meaning Jungkook is okay with e-cigs, which is what we allegedly see on the stream. So no, he's not being hypocritical. However, I do feel the obligation to point out and clear up a common misconception that e-cigs are not particularly better. So if you don't smoke anything, don't start picking up e-cigs or vapes. This is not an attack on Jungkook, but something he just may not be aware of. If he is in fact vaping, which has not been confirmed, so according to UHhospitals.org, they claim e-cigs might actually be worse, specifically for a heart condition. So please be aware. Let me know what you think, and make sure you check out my Patreon for more videos, link down below. Thanks for this lovely comment right here. Love you, bye.